Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, September 20th, and this is Mitch. Thanks for joining me. Before I get into today's awesome slate of college football games, I just want to briefly touch on last night's game. I didn't have a pick in that game, but I did watch it, and I really enjoyed watching it. I thought that Baylor really impressed me. I thought that Robert Griffin at quarterback, this kid just goes to show you. You can take all the recruiting rankings, you can take most of that stuff, and just throw it out the window. Here's a guy that, nobody wanted. He asked all of these different programs if he could play football there, because they all wanted him for his track ability. No one would let him play. Goes to Baylor. Yeah, the guy's like, the Big 12 conference champion, hurdler. We'll probably see him in the Olympics someday. He's hurdling players. He's throwing balls around. The future is very bright in Baylor. Look at head coach Art Briles, just, his third or fourth game there, running the show for the Bears. He's got that team, with a winning attitude. I'm going to say that, I've been down on Baylor for a long time, but I'm going to say that not only is Briles going to bring a winning tradition to Baylor and get them back to a bowl game, within the next year or two. But they're also going to be one of the most academically sound football teams in the nation as well, because Baylor is one of the better academic institutions in the country, and it's just a great story. Adversity at Baylor, yeah, there's always been adversity at Baylor, but Art Briles, this is a guy who's lived with adversity all of his life. We all know the story about it. He was a football player at the University of Houston. Both of his parents and his aunt were killed in a car wreck where they were hit by a truck on their way to go watch him play at a game where he didn't even know that this had happened. He played the game and he was wondering where his mother was. It's a horrible story, but the way that Briles has overcome it, it's almost like a movie, and it's an inspiring story for him. It's an inspiring story for me, and it's an inspiring story for his players, and you can really see it in the attitude that he brings. I'm going to talk about Briles a lot, not just today, but over the course of the season, probably over the course of the years, and Robert Griffin as well. But today we got to get into today's games because we got a wonderful slate. We have a lot of home teams getting points. A lot of home dogs. And these are like rivalry games. It just seems to me like a skewed public perception maybe. Or maybe people have forgotten that what actually happens when the teams take the field. We got Florida going to Tennessee. Tennessee's getting more than a touchdown in this game. They're getting 7.5 points. Traditionally a close game. Alabama going to Arkansas. Arkansas getting 9.5 points. The Hogs have not looked impressive lately, but they're winning. Alabama, they looked impressive against Clemson. They haven't looked that impressive since, I have to say. They covered against Western Kentucky last week, but Western Kentucky just out of Division II, or 1AA. They're not like a world beater, and against Tulane they didn't cover. So I'm not so sure about that spread. Utah going to Air Force. This is a series that's dominated by the home team. Yet Air Force, the line's gone from 6.5. Air Force now they're getting 9.5. I can't figure this one out. And if you guys can, you sure just let me know. You have Virginia Tech going to North Carolina. The entire spread on this game just totally inverted. Virginia Tech was getting a 1.5. I was giving a 1.5. Now they're getting 3.5 points. You got a 5-point swing on that game. I liked Virginia Tech from the get-go, and I'm still like them now. I'm not quite sure why people are on Carolina. Yeah, they did a real nice job last week against Rutgers, but Rutgers, I don't think they're quite on the level of a Virginia Tech. Yeah, Virginia Tech's young. They lost to East Carolina. I think that's what a lot of people are maybe looking at. Tyrod Taylor didn't play in that game, folks. So if you haven't seen Tyrod Taylor play, you're in for a treat because he really is an athletic quarterback who brings a lot of excitement out there. I think that might be a lot better game than people think, and I wouldn't be surprised if Virginia Tech really pulled that one out on the road. Michigan State, Notre Dame. A lot of people, not so convinced on Notre Dame. I'm one of them. You can see it in the movement of the point spread on this one too. That all the money is going on Michigan State, including mine. Notre Dame is 2-0. They beat San Diego State barely. Michigan turned the ball over 6 times in that game. 6 times. I don't think Michigan State is going to turn the ball over 6 times. Michigan State hasn't been so fantastic at holding onto the ball or even really converting on opportunities this year, but they have that feeling against the Irish. We've seen it over the years where these two teams they don't really like each other that much. So we're going to think that maybe the Spartans get it together today. Just a lot of big point spreads. A lot of, in other games, South Florida laying, just a bundle against Florida International. Penn State laying a ton as well against Temple. and Texas laying a ton against Rice. Temple and Rice are two improved teams. Florida International, they're just terrible. But Temple and Rice are both very improved teams. I'm not 100% sold in those games. The Nittany Lions, though, they seem like they do get on those rolls. Texas, they get on those rolls. These are just going to be some good games to watch. Georgia, Arizona State we've got today. We've got, LSU, Auburn. Can't miss. I love defensive football. I'm a defensive guy, and this is a defensive game. I normally don't like to go too long on these videos, and this is about a minute and a half longer than I normally like to go. So hopefully you're still with me, but I'm going to wrap it up anyways. I'm going to say, I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk about all the scores and the bounces and everything that happened today in college football. And this is Mitch, and thanks for joining me. Have a great day watching the games.